lovelies. Thank you so much for once again joining us back right here on United Voice of Women with Vani. Well, like every week, I love being here to be able to celebrate every new woman that I meet. You know, it has been a while since I started back my season 2. I had a gap of maybe a couple of years. And then after the chapter in New Jersey, where I actually had the opportunity to interview about 100 women, it was the most enriching experience of my life. And yes, of course, I wanted to do it all over again. And this time I am in Texas, and I cannot wait to meet all these lovely ladies from Texas. Well, they say, all I know that they say is everything is big in Texas. But besides that, I'm sure there are a lot more things. And today's guest that I have with me is Texan, I would think, but why don't we get it from her? Because I'm waiting to know so much more about her than just her name and whether she is a Texan. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are watching us as well, can we please put our hands together to welcome our new guest today? We have with us Leah. Did I say that right?
You did. Yes. Thank you. You did. You said it right. It's Leah.
A pleasure having you with us here on United Voice of Women.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This has been an amazing opportunity. I'm excited to talk with you and just get to know a little bit about you and share a little bit about me and my crazy life.
Well, let's decide at the end of the show, what is your life after all? Okay, we'll remember to sum up our show with that, okay?
Okay, sounds great.
I have always believed that every woman around me had something very special and unique about her. And I have always believed that I learned a lot from these women around me, you know, at work, at, various gatherings, with various friends that you make where you're living. Basically, all these things always intrigued me to know more about these women. And I thought that these women around me, just like me, are all busily doing what they got to do without anybody cheering for them, literally, all right? But they do such a fantabulous job. So why not celebrate these women as well and not just keep it to women that have, earned or won themselves a crown or title? You know what I mean? So I want to be able to celebrate everybody around me. And I can't tell you how excited I am, Leah, to be able to, celebrate this woman. That is you. All I have seen from far is I see you running around with your kids all the time. And that's all I know about you. And so now I want to leave the stage to you. And I want you to tell us, everything that you think you are.
That's a broad conversation, but I'll start it with, I was born in Missouri, but I only stayed there for 6 months because my dad was a pilot for a commercial airlines. And so he traveled a little bit, and he retired after 36 years doing it. So he did it for a long time and traveled overseas and everything. But with that came some really fun vacations that we got to fly for free. But we moved to Texas when I was 6 months old. So even though I wasn't born here, I grew up just west of Dallas, northwest of Dallas, and I'm the youngest of 4 kids. And so with that, I have 2 brothers and a sister, and we're all decently close, and they all are within 30 minutes now. So I see them every birthday, holiday. I get to interact with them and see them. So that's fun. And I went to college in the area around Dallas, and then met my husband, even though I didn't really like him that much in college. I found him kind of obnoxious. And he knows this. He knows because there are times I've asked, we have little boys, and I've said, babe, when is it that boys stop becoming maybe obnoxious or annoying? And he's like, well, you knew me in college. Was I obnoxious and annoying? Yes, you kind of were. You're right. So we have a long time to go until some of our boys reach a maturity. But anyways, that energy that he had in college definitely has made for a wonderful, energetic husband and dad. He keeps me on my toes and keeps us laughing. He actually, random story, he took a personality test in college, and they said that he was most likely to be a cruise ship director because he just has this lively personality, and he loves people, even though he kind of gets energy from being by himself sometimes or kind of being alone. That's how he gets recharged. But when he's a people person, as far as like when he's on, he's good with people, connecting people. And so his line of work, he gets to do that a little bit more often. But so after college, I started working for an engineering firm in their marketing department, and it ended up his parents owned the engineering firm. And I didn't know that when I got hired on. And then after I got hired on, he came to visit me and dropped off coffee. And it was kind of like this veil was lifted. It was like, hey, who are you? And what's your name? And it was just weird because we knew each other in college and we knew of each other and had similar friends, but the timing wasn't right. And we were kind of protected in some ways from each other. And then the time was right. And we dated for 4 months and were engaged for 4 months. Then we got married. And we had this track of 5 years. We were going to kind of wait 5 years and travel a little bit and then have kids. Well, different plans kind of came about after about a year. I broke down and I wanted children, and he was on board. And so fairly soon after, we were given the blessing of our oldest, and she's 13 now. So, and then we had a couple, as you've seen, couple more. And so, anyways, we have 4 boys. They just keep coming and coming and coming. We have 4 boys and 2 girls. And so, and I think most cultures that is insane. And we get a lot of weird looks, and that's okay. I didn't get to 6 kids overnight. And I tell moms all the time, like, this didn't happen overnight. This has been very gradual. And I promise, like, I would be drowning if you would have handed me 6 kids all at once. But it's been a learning experience, just like with anything, a job or new place to live. You adapt and you kind of configure and figure out what works and what doesn't work. And so 13 years into it, still figuring it out for sure, because their levels and their intellectual side and their emotional side, it all changes. But I would say I'm really, really, really grateful and joyful for where I'm at with them and our life here in Texas. And we're around family, and I see my parents a couple times a week and help out with them. So it's beautiful. I'm thankful that we get to be around family.
How amazing, Leah. That's a beautiful short of your life. Fantastic. But the place that I'm actually stuck on is about these kids, 6 children. Okay, so tell me more about what actually got you into, having more children.
Yeah, so, when we got married, I was very intentional, I would say, when we were dating. And I don't know if this was the best thing to do, so I don't give this out as advice, but the first month of dating, I was very how many children do you want? Are you serious about this? I want kids. Do you want kids? And so I had dated somebody in college for off and on most of my college career, or those 3 years. I was in college for 3 years. I finished it a little bit faster. And so anyways, I was off and on in a relationship, and I didn't want that emotional roller coaster again of in my next relationship, I kind of knew it was a blessing because it helped me determine what I wanted in a future husband and what I didn't want. And we talked to our children a lot about that, as far as it's good to have friendships and it's good to kind of see what you like in other people. And maybe that's something that you can kind of remember that you may want someday in a future spouse. And so anyways, but we also talking about a balance of that. Sometimes, like, if you would have asked me in college, I wanted a man that could play guitar and sing. And because that was, in my world, that's what was important. Well, my husband, he can't sing. He's actually very tone deaf in singing, and he doesn't play guitar. But you know what? He has the biggest heart and makes me laugh all the time. And he keeps me, I feel like, younger than what my body sometimes reminds me that I'm not 25 anymore. And so he keeps me, I feel like, just joyful. And but we have 3 biological children. We had our 13-year-old, and then our almost 11-year-old and 9-year-old, girl, boy, girl. And we really felt that we were called to adopt, actually, overseas and in Africa. And we looked at different countries that we could be accepted into, actually qualify for their adoption. And the more we dug, the more we realized, like, this may be really hard to do with 3 kids at home. And you have to travel, you have to stay there for a longer amount of time. And it just kind of, my heart just kind of kept breaking, thinking that it wasn't going to be possible. And my husband, he knows me well enough and knew me well enough that at the time he wasn't going to push me into something, but he did suggest, like, have you thought about maybe helping locally and learning about a little bit more what the state of Texas, what their needs, instead of the continents of Africa, right? And so I said, I'm not sure. I don't think I want to do that. And anyways, every once in a while he'd mention it. And then finally he said, well, there's a foster care adoption seminar I would like us to go to. Would you want to go to it? And I agreed, kind of, not wholeheartedly, but I agreed. And I went to this seminar with my husband. And anyways, I was just in awe of the stories and in awe of just the brokenness of this, of our world in general, but just the foster care and adoption, as far as foster care goes, and the kids that are licensed to the state. And so I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop crying because I was broken that I was ever so selfish to think that I was too good for that. And I was humbled by the fact that I felt like this is something that we were being called to do. And anyway, so that kind of jump-started a passion and a calling that 6 months later, we did everything we needed to do. And 6 months later, we got a call about a little boy near us, near Dallas, that was in a hospital. And mom had an addiction and overdosed and went into labor early. And there was nobody in our county that wanted him. And so we were like third on the list, and a couple other families fell through the cracks for whatever reason. And then we were called and like, can you get him next day? And so we picked up this 1-month-old little baby boy and brought him home. And it was just, our world was a little shaken by, every month having somebody in our home, an attorney or a CPS worker, checking in on this child. But the thing is, it is just like, when you submit to something that you're called to do, I feel like blessings really overflow. And we have been blessed tremendously with other families around us, community, like-minded people. And it's a lot of people, there's a lot of, I feel like, fear and intimidation around adoption.
Yeah.
And those are things that can control you. That fear can control you, and you may not ever submit. And so, but I will tell you, like, when you submit and you trust in what you're called to do, there is some freedom there and some peace there. And there are times I have to remind myself that why we did it and kind of the story how we got into it, because it was definitely something that once we got in it, I knew this is where we were supposed to be. And I knew that there were children that needed help, and we could be a safe and loving home for them. And we knew that it was going to change our dynamics of our family. And at the time, there was some naive hearts behind it, but we got into it, and we haven't turned back. So with that, I know I can keep going because we do have, go ahead.
Question for you here though. What is about you that wants to be like a mother hen or something? You seem to really, rejuvenate with more and more kids. Is that what it is? I mean, in a world where people are not even having 2 kids anymore, people are stopping at 1. In today's world, that's what it is. And there are a lot of other people that are also planning on not having kids at all. I mean, I know the next generation, is talking about it very openly. And they're serious about it. They think they do not want any kind of, I don't know, they feel tied up or something. And they do not have kids at all. But I have seen comparatively from the rest of the world and rest of the states in America, at least, for sure. I have not seen people with more than, 3 children at the most, but I see quite a few people back in Texas doing that. What do you think it is? It's the tradition or what really?
I think that a little bit has to do with maybe some of the faith in Texas, maybe the churches they're involved in, maybe just their beliefs of what they've grown up to believe. I know for me, I was the youngest of 4. So I came from a big family. My husband's the second of 3. So we have, larger families, but I was not the one growing up that desired to babysit. I did not desire, I liked babies, but I wasn't always wanting to surround myself with toddlers. And it was really, honestly, probably after I had my first child that I learned a lot about myself and learned a lot about what I did enjoy. And having your own child is completely different than watching a few children, right? For daycare or for babysitting them. So I would say it changed after having my first biological a little bit. And then I feel like it's been a little bit of seeing the need when you see the brokenness. And there are children that don't have a bed to sleep in, that don't have a mom or dad that care enough to care for them. And so they'll make really bad choices around them. And so who's going to raise this next generation? And is there going to be much of a next generation? And we do schooling a little bit differently too, because we want to hopefully build character and a love of learning in our children, not just, hey, here's what you're going to learn. It's like, here's how you learn. And so that for the rest of your life, you have the tools to learn and to want to learn.
I have a question to ask you now. I wanted to stop you in the middle, but I tried to hold myself, but I didn't want to lose that.
It's okay.
Because what I'm observing around me, even bringing up a single child seems to be such an ordeal. And I know that if so many people are saying the same thing, there must be, some truth in it. It cannot be a complete lie, right? That it's so difficult because, and also I'm talking from people from various countries, be it back in India that I know, or the Indians live in here. They are literally Americans because they have lived literally all their lives here. So they're more Americans than they're Indian. Like people like me that came out of India when they were like 20 or something. What happens is you become the person where you're living, right? So in every way, in whichever way I look, I see that nowhere else in the world, people are able to manage more than one kid and two at the most. And I see, because I don't have kids myself, I have seen a lot of people around me saying, "Oh, thank God you don't have kids," or it's
Mhm.
so not easy to be able to handle these kids. Everybody
Mhm.
I've seen has complained. I have not
Yeah.
seen anybody who talks about the joy. They feel that it is really, really running them down, with so much to do. And we're talking about at the most two kids. So how do you manage it all? I mean, what is your mantra? Because it seems like magic, right?
Well, it's one of those things. I have a extremely supportive husband. And
Uh-huh.
so this is something that he agreed to just as much as I did. He took
Uh-huh.
part in producing these children. So and we agreed to do adoption and foster care. And so that's something we went in together with. I would say we've been on the same page the whole time. It hasn't been me manipulating him or trying to coax him into doing something he didn't want to do. This is something that we have done together. And so, go ahead.
Okay, actually, I think that's not what I wanted to know. What I really wanted to understand, and it could be very, very helpful to a lot of people. That's why I wanted to ask you that. Like managing, I know you said that your husband is very cooperating,
Mm-hmm.
so helping you do this, but six kids, you're talking
Yeah.
about six kids?
Yeah.
How? So is there a method to the madness to be able to handle, six kids? And they're all around the same age, right? Maybe a couple of years up and down, but they are all same age. So it's not really as one of the kids can take care of the other kids or things like that. But I
Yeah.
see your kids, I just see them while they're playing outside. That's the only time I've seen them. I
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
how 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 smart and so helpful and so respectful, and they are all such good kids. I mean, helping each other to cross the roads and stuff. I mean, they understand everything. They're not kids that need supervision. They
Yeah.
seem to be really, really amazing, and I'm saying,
Yeah.
did you get?
Independent. I would say that one of the most valuable things that someone told me early on was to be present with your kids, because I take it very seriously that I am the one that they have been giving to me as a blessing to raise, and I take that job very seriously. And I'm the one that is teaching them how to. I'm training them. I'm training them to be husbands and wives and leaders in our culture, and I get to choose. And especially, I educate at home, and that was a choice of ours early on. I get to choose what goes in their hearts, and I get to choose what goes in their brains. And so, I mean, they get 45 minutes to an hour of tech time. And
Wow.
so this limits, I limit what they're seeing with their eyes and what they're hearing,
Huh?
because I mean, culture has changed, and I
So
want to make sure that I'm doing my role as a mom and as an American citizen and as a believer in God, that I'm raising them how I feel like is best. And everybody's different, but I don't necessarily want somebody else choosing what they hear. I want to choose what they hear, and I want to be intentional with how I train them.
but most amazing thing is being able to manage so many kids. How and I'm stuck on that part. I mean, uh, it's truly very, very inspiring. And I see you talk about your date nights. It's not as if you're even missing out on the quality of your life. You are actually having the best of everything. And that really, I don't know how many women listening to us, watching us, would be not just amazed by, but also jealous of. They would want to understand that, what is it that we don't understand? Why are we not able to do that? I mean, I do not see my friends finding time for a date night at all. They think that it takes them the entire day and night to put things together for their kids. And and they're talking about 1 or 2 kids, right? So this was something that has always how should I say, I wanted to know more, whenever I saw people around me, and I saw you, and I saw you, that thing was there in my mind all the time. And I wanted someday, somehow, to be able to talk to you about it. I never thought that it would happen like this on our show, but I think this is the best thing, because there could be so many other women that could be very, very inspired by what you're saying. But still, I didn't get your mantra. So do you have a mantra? What do you do to make it all happen on time? Because everybody needs breakfast at the same time. Everybody wants lunch at the same time. Everybody wants dinner at the same time. I mean, there are things that you need to do. You need to cook for a big family. You have to clean for a family. How does this work?
I would say it's probably in training them from early ages. My 13-year-old, I trust. I mean, she started at 3 and 4. Obviously picking up her toys, basic things, helping, being a helpful human being, and not thinking that they deserve it. It's just like, we're a family, and if we're going to work as a unit, as a family together, we're going to have to work together. So my children, it's every day. It is training them to pick up after themselves, to put their dishes away. They each have chores they have to do. They each have responsibilities, and that's how we function, honestly.
Wow. You know what? We're actually all up for time. But quickly, one more thing before I go. This has been an amazing chat with you, Leah. Really, really thankful to you to speak about it, because at least it'll get people thinking. What is it that is how do you so easily train kids? So that's a very good point that you put. So without really expanding the topics, can you just tell me what else? Training is one thing you say that, and how do you train? The kids don't seem to listen to their parents. So it starts from there.
Finding value in spending time with them and not them with their phone or them with technology. You have to be present to train a child. Wow. And being intentional. So putting a phone in front of a child is not intentional. I mean, if there are times you're in survival and you have to use it, I get this. But you also need to know, your children need to know they can have a conversation with you, that it's safe to ask questions. It's safe to communicate with you. And so if all you're doing is putting a TV, then that's what's going to teach our children. And so I really find it valuable to be intentional with them and speak to them like they're adults. Speak to them like you want them to be a wonderful husband or wife or coworker, And so,
I believe you, because I have seen your kids myself, right? So that's why I believe you, because you've turned them into such amazing kids. Very, very, very well done. I'm so proud of you and greatly appreciate on this beautiful episode of United Voice of Women. I hope and pray that, a lot of people really are able to take back a lot from this episode of ours. And all thanks to you.
Thank you. I appreciate me on.
Right here. Thank you and enjoy. You are amazing. Thank you. All right, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Oh my God, it was very difficult for me to sit still. But today, I was so lost. I was so amazed at what Leah had to say. That Leah or Leah, how do we say your name though? It's too late to ask.
Leah.
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 Leah. All right. So just imagine me sitting still and totally enthralled by something that she was speaking about. It's not something that happens every day, not in my life anyway, but it was extremely exciting, guys. And yes, do not forget to, join us back again next week because we're going to come with another amazing woman. And before you go, guys, I want to thank you all for joining us and, of course, request you to be able to check out our page on Facebook, Mana TV Facebook, and then you can like, love, share, comment, and let us know what you liked and what you did not like about our show. And that could help us, bring things to you that are more of interest to you. And that said, once again, thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone. I am so excited. I just don't want to go, and I don't know how to end this show, but I have to. Okay. So, guys. Hey guys, this is Mana TV International bringing to you the best. All right. So, yes, keep it right here on Mana TV. And also, please like, share our page on Facebook with your friends because in case they missed an episode here, they can always go back to watch it on our social media platforms. So, thank you very much for tuning in. Until next time, it's ta-da.